This episode is brought to you by Elevate OS, the only all-in-one community operating system. Elevate OS transforms property management, combining resident engagement, reservations, rent payments, maintenance, and concierge services into a single super app. It also uniquely integrates access control, intercoms, package lockers, and thermostats, eliminating app fatigue and redefining modern apartment living. Visit elevateos.com/MMN for a free demo and see how they can help you level up your operations. Welcome to another episode of the Multifamily Collective. Today, let's talk about something that I think is pretty special, pretty interesting. How do you stand out in a crowd? Now, I have the easy answer to that question. I'm 6'8". I stand out in a crowd naturally. But for those of you who are not 6'8" and you don't stand out in a crowd naturally, I have the answer for you. I think the fastest way to stand out in a crowd in the multifamily space when you're competing against like-kind product in like-kind markets with like-kind circumstances is people. And what do I mean by that? When you have people who genuinely care about your community from a sales perspective, from a customer service perspective, from just a human interest perspective, you differentiate yourself from the person or the property next door. When you do things like stand and greet and remember names and shake hands and all of those sorts of things, that really differentiates you when you think about comparing yourself to your neighbor. People want to be seen these days. They want to be heard. They want to know that you care. They want to feel that you care. And so many communities just compete on features. Hey, our pool is better than their pool. Our fitness center has 3 more pieces of equipment than the person next door, the property next door. People like all that stuff, but what really differentiates you is that the consumer cares about how you make them feel. They may not remember anything that you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And they'll remember you and your personality in making them feel a certain way. So one of the common mistakes that we make in multifamily is that we put people in a classroom, or we put them on a video training session or in a video training session, and we teach them about process. We teach them all about the leasing process, all about the assistant manager's role and responsibility as it relates to process, property manager's process. We teach processes and systems and disciplines and routines. What we don't teach is how to make somebody feel seen. How do we make them feel compelled to do business with you? We script all these interactions. I remember when, this is several years ago, maybe this is 10 or 15 years ago, property management company would supply us with a script. You need to say this thing. The problem with the script is the person on the other end of the script is unscripted, and you can't really respond to a question that they might ask because it's not on the script. So the scripts didn't really work. We need to speak naturally. We need to be ourselves. We need to be vulnerable. We need to be just compelling in nature. My recommended approach to customer service or leasing or any interaction where you're face-to-face with the public is just act on your instinct. Use your common sense. Just be who you are and help people. Do it under the premise of being in service of another human being. When you take the position of how can I serve you? How can I help you? And you do that genuinely, and you do it with passion, and you do it remarkably and memorably, then that person is going to feel seen. They're going to feel heard. I heard a story the other day that was just incredible to me. Incredible in a bad way. Somebody shows up to shop a property, and the leasing consultant does not stand. And the person who shopped the property suddenly came to the realization that this leasing consultant had an earbud in, and they were watching television, or they were watching their cell phone, some sort of video that was happening on the cell phone. So they were half-heartedly speaking with this person that was doing the shopping. And then the entire time on the tour, this person didn't disconnect from the show that they were. They shoved the phone in their pocket and they continued to listen to whatever was happening on the cell phone. That was the leasing experience. Very prominent, well-known property management company in Atlanta. It was an incredible story that was told to me. And I think a lot of times people in that type of scenario, they don't feel felt, they don't feel heard, rather. They definitely don't feel seen because they're being served by somebody that's completely distracted by cell phones, by a cell phone in that particular story. So you have to teach people to really trust their instincts and use common sense and be in service of others. And you can't fail in that respect. People will see that you're being very genuine with them. Build a culture that is service first, in service of our team members, in service of our consumers, in service of our business partners. Don't forget about your supplier partners. Don't forget about your supplier partners. They are equally important in how you get business done. Treat them well. Treat them well. They want to do a good job for you. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be treated well. So my encouragement to you, if you want to be remarkable or memorable, there's a great story that Seth Godin tells, and then we'll wrap up here. But he tells a story about driving through sort of a rural area in Europe during a family vacation. He opens this book called The Purple Cow with this story. And hopefully I'm not going to butcher it, but so they're driving through the countryside and he says to his family, look, or no, he says, it's just sort of bland. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's bland and there are a bunch of brown cows out there and there's nothing really remarkable about it. So when you come home from the vacation, you're not really talking about driving through the countryside and seeing a bunch of brown cows. But then he juxtapositions that against this idea that if there were a bunch of purple cows, that's remarkable. That's memorable. So when you come home from vacation, you're sitting around the table, you're talking to your friends, you're talking about driving through the countryside and you saw a field full of purple cows. How do you become remarkable and memorable in a way germane to the purple cows, right? They're not purple cows. It's an analogy in the sense that how do you differentiate yourself from the marketplace? By being more remarkable and memorable. The big punchline here is you do it through your service. You do it through being in service of other people, and you do it in a profound way. You put your cell phone down, put it in the drawer, turn it off. Don't be distracted by it in any way, shape, or form. Don't use the excuse of like, I got to have my phone with me because of my this, that, or the other. Don't do it. Leave that phone in the office. You go out, you have a tour where you're actually engaging with the people that you're with or the person that you're with, and you're looking at them in the eyes when you're having a conversation with them. That's what makes you remarkable. That's what makes you different. That's what makes people want to come back to your community. That's what makes people want to engage or execute leases in the moment because they feel like you're listening, you're hearing, you're being with them with no distractions. So that's it. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.